All right, welcome to the Cover Cal High podcast. I'm Jake Vanderbrook in London, and we're joined by a special guest, Dominic Kelly, the senior back, De La Salle, part of the amazing running back group that they have there, and they've been just dominating. 5-0 record so far. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It was a long flight coming down here. Had 2 practices in a row, but we're just trying to get warmed up and get used to the weather out here.
How many hours was that flying? Was that like 11 plus hours?
11
oh
hours.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was a long flight.
Yeah, is your sleep schedule messed up with the time change and everything?
Yeah, so messed up. Back in the USA, they would just be waking up right now. So it's weird playing at night too. So, we're just getting adjusted and stuff like that.
And you guys flew in, you guys got here on Friday.
Yeah.
And you guys practiced on Friday, and today is Saturday, and you guys are practicing now, and it's kind of weird feeling that you guys are playing on a Tuesday, and next thing you know, you're practicing on Friday, Saturday. How have you guys been able to adapt with that?
We've all been tired. It's just, we just basically got to adjust to it. We've been taking naps on all the bus rides, all the car rides and stuff. But, we got to get out here. It's basically a business trip, so, we got to put in the work in, do what we got to do, win on Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. You talked a little bit about the business trip. We'll get to that later. But you guys were able to do some sightseeing around London.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
So we went over there to the tower today. We saw, crowns, jewels, like swords and stuff, stuff I've never seen, a bunch of history, from thousands of years back. So, it was cool seeing it, enjoying the sightseeing and touring.
What's the one thing that you learned from any of the tours that you've experienced?
I didn't know this, but Martin Luther King, he helped out with the churches out here. So now I was surprised that, someone in the USA can make a big impact, overseas in, London. So it was cool seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Coach Allenbaugh said right before practice started, lock in because this is a business trip. And now you guys are playing on a Tuesday and you guys are going up against the NFL Academy. A lot of talent over there. There's some D1 prospects, but what's one thing that draws your attention with this team?
They're a very good team, athletic team. They play hard, they play well, they play physical, but, we're just a more disciplined team. We've been doing this since basically January, so, we've been preparing for this for, a very long time. So, we should come out hot and, finish the game strong.
Yeah, and just what is it going to take for this team to just come out firing and set the tone the rest of the way for this game?
It starts off with the line and the running backs. We start out hot, we start physical, start running the ball down their throats. They should get tired by, third quarter, fourth quarter, and then, that's when we put them away.
Okay, so not only this is a business trip, you guys get to go to an NFL game tomorrow.
Yeah.
New York Jets taking on the Minnesota Vikings in London. Obviously when you found out about this whole trip that you guys are experiencing and the fact that, you're going from being on one of the best programs here in the country to experiencing an NFL game and playing. Did you ever think that would be in full swing ever since you put on that De La Salle uniform?
No, when I first came here, I know they say they play out of the state and stuff like that, but I never thought we play out the country, so, it's cool, experiencing that, because it's only one time experience. Not a lot of people get to experience this, so it's cool that, we get to see an NFL game, see where I want, that's where I want to be in a few years, so,
Right.
It's good seeing that in person, meeting players and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's all the time that we got. Dominic Kelly, appreciate you, and back to you guys.
Adrian, you need to dress better for these.
It's a podcast. You gotta
I
look comfortable.
understand.
You gotta look comfortable.
Well, Tyler looks comfortable.
I look comfortable.
You don't look comfortable.
What do you mean?
Does anybody think that Adrian looks comfortable? We've started Adrian, so that's what I'm saying. I the shorts and the t-shirt, I think people should decide whether that's the look for you.
You know what? Let's have them vote. We'll have a poll on Instagram.
Should Adrian dress up? Let's vote. I vote yes. Tyler?
I'm in favor. Why not?
Two against one.
Handsome
Adrian
fella.
should dress up. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks, Jake, from London. Appreciate it. Jake and Nikon in London this week. That was recorded on Saturday of their trip. De La Salle plays on Tuesday. We are there. We will have exclusive highlights from that as part of our show this week on Sunday night and as part of the podcast next week. So be sure to tune in for that. Plus, they're all over social media this week and doing a good job. Jake got to go to the Vikings game.
Skol, baby.
Skol.
Jake is a big Vikings fan, and the De La Salle team was there as well. They were part of that. So that was That was fantastic. How was your weekend, your Friday night shooting and all that? How did it go?
It was great. Friday night was chaos. I mean, so many great scores, so many great games. It was fantastic on my end of the ball. I don't know about you, Adrian.
I like the fact that I had an early game, but we'll talk about my game a little bit later on. But man, that was chaotic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Adrian was at the Reardon SI game. Big game, incredible comeback for SI again. So we'll talk about that in a bit. I was at Christopher Santa Teresa, the Chick-fil-A game, where the team at the end of the game huddled up. Chick-fil-A on 3, 1, 2, 3, Chick-fil-A. I
What
like
a break.
that. And then
That's
they went and
first.
got their sandwiches, so that was good. And it was a great game. Jackson Robinson is an outstanding quarterback and just gets better and better every week. You're not committed anywhere. There's all sorts of junior college scouts there at the game looking at him. They would love to get him, but I know Jackson, and he's a multi-sport guy. So what sport he plays and if he plays football in college and all that, it's still to be decided. But he's fantastic.
How do you feel about a quarterback wearing the number 20?
It's a very defensive back-like number.
I think running back. I always think running back first.
Yeah. He's a 6'4", big guy. Everything your prototype NFL quarterback, and he threw some balls in that game that were really super impressive. 30-yard touch passes, dropping him right into his receiver.
That's awesome.
Looked really good. Los Lomas, our guys, they watched the podcast, they watched the show. They were playing great, and they got beat by Northgate.
Northgate. Upset. Big one, too. 35-21. I mean, that's a high-scoring affair.
Yeah, it was. Northgate didn't think it was an upset.
Yeah, I know. Northgate would beg to differ.
They were confident, but yeah, Los Lomas was in a lot of different polls and coming up, was undefeated. And so that was a big one and sends that division crazy. Really tight game. San Leandro and Berkeley. Berkeley had been playing very well and played well in this game, a defensive kind of game. It was 13-12. Brad Bowers, the head coach at San Leandro, doing a great job again this year. He's been there forever. Have you seen Brad before? Big guy.
I think I have.
Yeah, when Brad talks, the players listen. because if they don't, he might pound. No, he would never pound on him. He's a good guy and a great coach and doing a really good job there. So a big win there for San Leandro. And then, the big Cross Bay game was Los Gatos and Pittsburgh. Tyler, you were there.
Yeah. Let me take you up to Pittsburgh. That was a crazy one. Pittsburgh gets it done again. They beat Los Gatos in Los Gatos last
Before
year.
you go any further, did you get tri-tip?
I sure did. I sure
You had
took
it
a
on
big
the
old
stand-up.
bite. I hope you watched that stand-up because, that tri-tip was every ounce of good. I was looking forward to it
Yeah,
big
you go
time.
to Pittsburgh, you got to have the tri-tip.
Got to have it. But yeah, so Pittsburgh gets it done, 37-20. What I have to say about that, Los Gatos shocked Pittsburgh. They came out in the most of the first half. It was 10-0 leading up to the last 3 minutes before halftime. And Pittsburgh, I could tell they're sidelined. They were quiet. They were shocked because they came in with some energy. And when Los Gatos came in and go score and then put up a field goal on top of that by 2 scores before the half, they were surprised. But Pittsburgh really, really took it serious leading into the half. Go put up 2 before half to take the lead, 14-10. And
they've got Marley Alcantara there.
Yep,
and we
Marley.
know Marley is a dog.
Yeah, dog.
Not
dog.
like Marley and me. I know the dog died at the end, so that's probably not a good example.
No, I don't know about that time.
That touchdown pass, he's got an arm, and he just rifled that thing in there. About a 15-yard pass was there in an instant, and he's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's really doing great. A fantastic quarterback.
He gets it done. He hangs in the pocket well, and I have to shout out their guy Truly. His name stands out to me. Just a unique name, to say the
Wait,
least.
what is his name? Truly?
Truly, Truly, Truly.
Oh, okay.
2 interceptions, 2 clutch interceptions. Had a big hit that didn't count. I thought it was a very clean hit in my refereeing experience. I have no experience. Very clean hit. So my point of bringing that up is they are well-rounded. They have so many athletes. We're not trying to think about who to interview at the end of the game. The choices were endless. So it was great. So anyway, Pittsburgh does get it done against Los Gatos. And then Amador Valley and Foothill. Amador Valley with a statement win. The Pleasanton Bowl, I think is what they were calling it. Aubrey was there to cover that. And a shocker where Amador Valley absolutely dominates 48-12.
Yeah, Amador Valley is the real deal this year.
Yeah.
They're playing well. They're playing well against good teams, and they're putting up big numbers. So they have been impressive so far this year, and they could be a division champ.
Yeah, you never know.
Yep.
And then we go to College Park in Miramonte. I think we got to get these guys on the map. I don't know if we've
Miramonte?
we've covered them once, I think,
Okay.
so far. I think I look to you, I think we got to give them
Okay.
some love because another big win for them, 41-37 over College Park. Talk about, I said, high-scoring affair for Northgate and Las Lomas. I mean, that's crazy.
Now they're gonna get into leagues. So now
Yeah,
let's see
league
what
play.
happens. Now
This
let's see
is
what
true.
happens.
So-
I was in San Francisco.
You were.
I was,
San
man.
5 o'clock
I was.
game?
Francisco,
What a game! First of
5:30.
all, I went to the Warriors shop. I got a Steph Curry jersey. I had to do it. I had
How
to
much
do it.
you pay for that?
Too much.
Too much money.
I heard the phone call.
Adrian does not know the word budget. You
Anyway.
got to budget. You can't just keep buying all this stuff. At some point, you got to save money. You know what you remember that Jesus saves? That's what it means. You got to save.
anyway,
You're going on the hot seat.
We'll talk
He's
about.
sweating.
I'm sweating, but we'll talk about this in a little bit. But St. Ignatius won 31-28 over Reardon. St. Francis beat Midi 30-27. Then Saturday afternoon, Sarah won 29-12 over Sacred Heart Cathedral. And well, since we're in the West Catholic League roundup, let's talk about this Reardon SI game. Those cardiac kids. What a game that was.
So SI was down by how much?
They were down 21-3 at halftime. 21-3.
So you're thinking ball game. You're like, this is over.
I'm thinking, man, I mean, Reardon looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't
They're
stop.
a good team.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop Michael. And then all of a sudden in the second half, I don't know what was said at halftime. SI just kept scoring. Just kept scoring. And I don't know what to tell you, but I know.
Maybe they brought Brad Bowers in from San Leandro to yell at him at halftime. That would have done it.
Jake said yesterday that SI has his attention. Where is the 3-shot? Right here?
That's your shot.
SI, you have my attention now. Because that's two big wins.
That's huge.
Sarah and Reardon.
Well, and what I like is showing that they're gritty. They don't quit. I like that. They battle and being down as much as they were and starting the season off a little slow, a little rocky, right?
Yeah.
And for them to do what they've done the last couple weeks, not only have our attention, but I think the rest of the West Catholic League.
Well, they're 2-0.
Yeah.
They're 2-0 in league.
And they show a lot of character because even when they're down by 18 points, they're not giving up. They're not hanging their heads. And they know how to come back, and they know how to win. And not everybody knows how to win.
Exactly.
A lot of teams out there that are losing close games got to learn how to win. Yeah, take a look at SI. SI knows how to win.
Well, speaking of which, Midi, after getting destroyed by Valley Christian 2 weeks ago, hosted St. Francis. They gave St. Francis a run for their money, but the Lancers just pulled it out in the end.
Get it done. I mean, I really just don't fully know. I feel like some of those games you don't know who or where or what to expect out of that West Catholic League because, I mean, there's ones that, like we talked about on the show last week, man, were we wrong, right?
Oh, my goodness.
So with some of these games, and I think that's what's so exciting about the DubCal is being able to see these teams battle and get it done and make these unexpected wins or come dominate either way and make statements within that league.
So the two big games in the West Catholic League this week?
Well, we have another game that happened last Saturday. Sarah and Sacred Heart Cathedral.
Right.
Was it 29-12
29-12.
Sarah?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a win, but that's a little bit concerning. No disrespect to Sacred Heart Cathedral. These are the teams that Sarah just destroys
Sure.
in league, and they won 29-12.
You want a more convincing
I
win.
wanted
that's
a more
convincing.
convincing
I would
win.
argue that's convincing.
So you're going to keep Sarah out of the polls again?
They're not in the poll yet, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, hang on. Let's slow our roll.
Okay, so then this week it's St. Francis and Sarah.
Exactly. So,
that'll
here we
be
go.
be a big test
I am
game
looking
for
forward
both
to
those
that.
teams.
I think that's going to be great.
And I think Jake is shooting that game. Jake is shooting that game.
Straight out of London.
So he'll
and-
be back from London?
He will be back.
Oh,
Nikon
good.
will be back.
What happens if he misses his plane?
We'll find a way.
We're screwed.
And he's not allowed to.
No.
He's-
We'll find a way.
I requested some UK Guinness, so he's not allowed to leave it behind.
He's having Guinness while he's there?
Off the clock, of course. Off the clock.
clock.
I made sure. Yeah, yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see what Sarah's offense does. Can they do something offensively against St. Francis? And then can they stop Kingston?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Sarah the last several years when they've been so good in the top team in the Bay Area. Their line play has dominated other teams' line play on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. This year, not so much. And St. Francis has that big, huge line, especially offensively. Their offensive line is massive, which helps Kingston be able to run the way he runs. And be interesting to see how Sarah's able to handle that.
I'm looking forward to seeing him at some point this season. Obviously, I've been keeping up, talking about him, the highlights and stuff that we have as we go out and shoot. It's just, I think what it comes down to, you can't help but think about, obviously, contrary, De La Salle's a different story, but Sarah, I mean, all eyes on him, right? When you're expected to be the best team in the Bay Area or arguably, top team in California, and you don't perform like you're supposed to, the highs are high and the lows are lows when it comes to criticism. Yeah. So a lot of eyes on them.
And they've had a very tough schedule.
Absolutely.
They've played good teams, so they'll go on from there. The St. Francis and Mitty last week was a close game.
It was.
Yeah. And Mitty's been playing very well, and St. Francis just got by.
Hats off to Mitty, man, to recover from a bad loss against Valley, to almost beating St. Francis. Hats off to them. But, hey, like I said last week, this is the gauntlet that is the West Catholic League. This is the gauntlet right here. Can you beat Valley? Can you beat SI? Can you beat Reardon? Yeah. Here we go. And for Sarah, they're facing that now. They're facing St. Francis. They're going to face Reardon. They're going to face Valley Christian, I think, the last week of the season. We'll see what happens.
And they play that game, the Sarah St. Francis at St. Francis.
At St. Francis. So, that's a tough environment to play.
Very tough. I think possibly the best fan section in the Bay Area.
Oh, that's a
big statement. That's a large statement. You might upset some student sections out there.
Yeah, I like San Ramon Valley too.
Of course, that's a known.
I'll take Pitt.
You know who slept on is Hillsdale. Hillsdale slept on. I would say they had some pop over there.
What do they call the St. Francis rooting section there?
Is it not the Rage Cage? Who am I thinking of?
I think it is the Rage Cage.
Yeah,
they're fantastic. Yeah. They've always got a theme. They've always got big numbers, and so that's a tough place to play because of them.
Well, so I wanna look into the Week 5 matchup. We're talking about exciting matchups.
Yep.
And Marin Catholic San Marin.
Oh,
I feel like that's
goodness.
going to be every ounce of exhilarating between those two teams.
And that's a Chick-fil-A sportsman
game.
And guess who's going to be there? Our Aubrey Tolliver.
We're looking
who's in charge of our audience today.
Producer. Yeah,
I'm not familiar with Aubrey Tolliver.
Oh my! What?
Who? Say what?
Oh, is she the one that sits next to me every week?
Oh, that one. Yeah,
I had no idea what the name was.
Yeah, she usually just gets your coffees, right, and brings your lunches. No, not that one. No, that's gonna be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. Aubrey's gonna be there. We reference Aubrey.
That's a Thursday night.
That is a Thursday night, which is fantastic.
We love a Thursday night, especially when you have to drive from Santa Clara to.
And it's a rivalry game.
Yeah, big game.
And both those teams, I think, have been, I would argue, slightly overlooked as far as the quality of football that they offer and what they've been putting together this season. I know we don't get to cover them as much as we'd like, the distance to travel, but that is a huge, huge matchup. Robert, do you see anything much out of that game you're looking forward to with that one?
Whenever you have a rivalry game, it should be great. It'll be a big crowd. Even on a Thursday night, it'll be a big crowd. Two very good teams. Hopefully, it'll be close. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of like the West Catholic team or West Catholic League being like a tough league, this brand new Redwood Empire League, which combined a bunch of leagues up there in the North Bay.
New Empire. Sorry. No, keep going.
I mean, if you look, this is all the teams in that like top league: Windsor, Marin Catholic, San Marin, Cardinal Newman, Vintage, Rancho Cotati. Who's going to win that? I have no idea who's going to win that league. That's a gauntlet too.
Yeah.
Right? That's a gauntlet too. And, winning this game, winning this week, it's a big step towards possibly winning a league title and maybe even going to the open D1 bracket in the North Coast section playoffs.
It'd be something to see. And I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's move on to our volleyball poll.
Yes, I was going to tell you.
Who does that poll anyhow?
Right here.
This guy.
Right
I mean,
right here.
That could be a mistake.
It's known. There's receipts that he will be camping on a camping trip, sitting by the
right.
campfire, and he will be looking at the volleyball scores and working on his polls. There is evidence.
Diligent.
He is diligent. So
that doesn't mean he's right.
Well, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect.
I will vouch for. I will vouch for that.
Okay. So, all right, should we do it?
Yeah, Robert, let's sit back and enjoy the show.
Okay, here we go.
This is your first time on the podcast.
All right, you know what?
Agent takes us through this one.
I feel like I should just do this every week. The 3 shots right there.
Yeah,
Here's a poll, everybody. Here it is, right here.
Hold it up.
Here it is. All right, so
That's usually when Nikon puts the graphic over your face and puts the poll up, so we don't have to look at your little white paper. But please continue with your poll,
So
sir.
Branson is still number 1. Mitty number 2.
I have a problem with that.
Mitty number 2.
Early.
Okay, well, they defeated Sacred Cathedral and possibly the last big tournament around like Northern California. They won the Stockton Classic.
Yeah, tournaments don't count.
Yeah, but it's the
Whoa.
Tournaments don't count. You play 2 sets.
You're coming in and just looking for being the
Play
hot
2
take
sets.
guy. No,
what about the next 3 sets?
I'm starting to figure out what he's doing. He wants to come in and
Did
be the
Mitty
hot
beat
take
St.
guy.
Francis in a 5-set match?
Well,
No.
They're gonna
The
well,
answer to that
well,
would be no.
They're gonna play this week,
That's right. So
and they also played St. Francis for the championship last Saturday. So St. Francis
how many
is
sets did they win?
2-1.
Yeah, so they got one more set to win before they win the match.
Well,
So let's play another set. They could win the next 2. We shoot these matches all the time. One team wins the first 2, the next one
This
wins the
is
next
very
3.
true.
I feel like it doesn't matter. So we'll see. We'll see this week if St. Francis beats Mitty. I'm right. If Mitty beats St. Francis, you're right.
okay. Well,
And
St.
what-
Francis
And
is
I
our
won't
number
be on
3
the
team.
podcast next week.
You're getting the boot. And then we'll just sweep that
I'm
under
getting the
the
boot
rug.
either way.
Yep.
Well, St. Francis is our number 3 team. They were the runner-up. James Logan, number 4.
I like
they
the Colts.
finally lost.
I was going to say, did they lose a set?
They did lose a set, and they did lose a game, but that was in the Nike Tournament of Champions tournament in Arizona.
Yeah.
Finished
That's-
3rd in the platinum bracket. So that's still,
Very
big
impressive.
deal.
Very impressive.
Big deal. Redwood, number 5. Marin Catholic, number 6. They were the 3rd placed finisher at the Stockton Classic. Carondelet at 7. San Ramon Valley at 8, who was also in the Stockton Classic. They finished 7th in that tournament. St. Ignatius, number 9. They finished 8th in the Stockton Classic. And rounding up our poll, Foothill at number 10. They were the 11th place finisher at that tournament.
So when SI played Balboa, what were the set
Oh my
scores
God.
there?
I think it was like 3 sets. No disrespect to Balboa. No disrespect, but
No
man.
disrespect to
No,
Balboa.
no disrespect, but hey,
Is it not true that me, you, and Tyler can beat Balboa?
I suck at volleyball.
You're putting way too much
that would
trust in
be-
my volleyball skills.
Robert, I
Don't lead me
suck
into
at
that.
Be
I wanna-
disrespect to Balboa.
I took volleyball and PE when I was in high school. I flunked it, man. I suck.
You flunked volleyball?
I suck. I was like,
You
I
gotta suck
think I got
pretty
like a
bad to
C
flunk.
minus. Yeah, I can't even set. I
You're
cannot
a
set.
defensive specialist.
No, so hang
Yeah,
on.
I
So
know.
let me ask something here because Robert's talking about these tournaments. And I've brought it up before,
Yeah.
Adrian, on these podcasts. I love Robert's opinion. The biggest thing I bring up with these volleyball tournaments is I'm blown away how many games to play. Yes, they're limited sets per games, but it's bizarre to me. I had no idea how many games they go through and the endurance it takes to get through all that. It's impressive to go through that. But you still don't think it's quite the same thing as 5-set matches.
Yeah, I just don't think it tells you who the best teams are because of that. That's not a real life situation when you're playing 3 matches in a day. That's not real life as opposed to getting ready for a game, researching the teams, scouting them, coaching them, getting there and grueling through a 5-set match between 2 fantastic teams.
Maybe we'll have to have a volleyball player call into our show sometime and
Why
tell us
not?
a little bit about those tournaments.
Call in,
'cause do you have a volleyball background?
Do I have a volleyball background?
Yeah, do you have a volleyball background? 'Cause I don't have.
I'm almost as bad as Adrian in volleyball. I mean, I played volleyball, but I'm not good.
We'll get a Cal High beach volleyball.
We'll
game
bring Carrie
going.
Walsh in here and have her.
Oh,
we
by
go.
the way, you talked to
I
Carrie.
interviewed Carrie last week.
How was that?
Fantastic. She's a
cool experience.
wonderful person. She's been inducted into the San Jose Hall of Fame. And so I talked to her at an event for that. But I covered her when she played at Mitty 30 years ago. And she was, this shy
in
little
the-
16-year-old girl who ended up winning 3 state volleyball titles and a state basketball title.
Not to mention Olympic gold.
And 3 Olympic gold medals, yeah. That was pretty
So-
good. That was pretty
All
good.
right. Well,
So I was gonna say, in case Robert didn't have enough issues with the volleyball poll, here comes the
here we
football
go.
poll up
well,
next.
this was
and
chaos.
this is usually I speak up to.
This is-
I don't know, Adrian. Sometimes no,
It-
I'm
it
kidding.
was
You've done
chaos.
good lately. I've liked your poll the last couple
You
weeks.
know, I appreciate that, man.
Sometimes.
I try my
Sometimes.
best. I try my best.
Our
Well,
comment section thinks otherwise sometimes. So
Well, all right. So here we go with the football poll again. A little bit chaotic, but not as much. De La Salle is still number 1. Now, let me say this: by the time this podcast is uploaded to YouTube, This is before they're even playing in London. So
Correct.
I don't care what happens in London. They will be the number 1 team.
Right.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that's good? He says, regardless of the result of that game, he says it does not affect De La Salle's spot.
I agree, because they would have to lose to a Bay Area team.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Or even Northern,
That's
not
fair.
even a Northern
I was just
Conference,
curious.
it's
I
a Bay
had to
Area.
hear the take.
Okay.
Trying to
And
ruffle some
That's
feathers.
a Tuesday game.
It is a Tuesday game, so a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Shout out to the Spartans.
They do things different across the pond, We're
Yep.
just following their lead.
Well, Pittsburgh number 2, they defeated Los Gatos, which Tyler
They're
you
only
covered,
heating up.
and they're playing Freedom this week. San Ramon Valley number 3, they defeated Granada, and they're playing California this week, which is on our schedule. So it's another big game.
Yeah, those
a good
teams
one.
usually. There's a little bit of bad blood usually in those games between California and San Ramon Valley.
Not as bad as San Ramon Valley, Monte Vista.
Not as bad as that one, but those teams do get chippy
It
and
does
it gets
get chippy.
aggressive.
It will get chippy.
Those games, it means a lot to both teams, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right, St. Francis number 4. They are playing Sarah this week. Number 5, St. Ignatius. That's right. I'm looking at that 3-shot right now. Look at that 3-shot right now. You have my attention.
How high did they jump?
You have my attention.
Where'd you have them last week?
I had them at like number 10.
A 5-spot jump?
Yeah, well, they've defeated Reardon, man.
I get it, but 5 spots?
Hey, man, listen, I think they're the real deal, man. I
see
think they're the real deal.
Let's hear the rest underneath that.
And, well, they're on the road this week. This is going to be a barn burner. They're playing Bellarmine. Real barn burner, man, at San Jose City College.
No disrespect.
No disrespect to Bellarmine, but, real barn burner of a game. California number 6. They defeated Livermore, and they're playing at San Ramon Valley. Reardon goes down to 7. Lost to St. Ignatius.
That's a big game this week for them.
Well, they're playing Valley Christian this week.
Yeah.
Another big game. So here we go. Here we go. Can Reardon stop the run?
Can we shoot all those games?
Well, Reardon Valley Christian's a crumble game.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I will be at that game. So
How come you get the cookies every week?
that's not
I
true.
never get cookies.
Wait a minute. No, Tyler had the cookies last week.
I had the cookies last week.
That was a rare thing.
Well-
I had the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
I got a
so-
sandwich for the road.
I'd rather have
were
a
nice
sandwich
too.
than a cookie, man.
Really?
Well, Robert, Chick-fil-A, you got a
I
chance.
like to mix it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on. Los Gatos, number
Quickly.
8, lost to Pittsburgh. They're at Mellow Atherton. Another big.
That's a good game.
This is a big game again, and we have that on our schedule. So
good.
watch out for us. El Cerrito, number 9. They were by last week.
Why do we never shoot El Cerrito?
Adrian, the El Cerrito hater. He talks about it behind the camera all the time.
Now, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Now, wait a minute. They're a good team. It's just their league is kind of weak, right? And it's sometimes they play on Saturday, which kind of
And we did shoot them against Oakland Tech when it got canceled.
Unfortunately.
That's terrible,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Took it away from the kids.
For my gachos out there, that was a joke. Adrian does not hate El Cerrito.
They
That I
took
have
it
to
away
put
from the
that-
kids, Adrian. How could they do that?
I
the
don't know,
kids.
man.
Do it for the
You know what?
kids.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Horrible, terrible, horrible.
Horrible, terrible, horrible, terrible.
And then
Number 10.
number 10, Valley Christian, who defeated Bellarmine last week. Not as much of a barn burner, but still beat Bellarmine 21-0. And they're hosting Reardon. So that is the top 10 poll. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
I like it. I think SI is a really, really dramatic jump. I think they deserve to climb, but I think going from, what'd you say, 10?
10 to 5.
10 to 5, halving the poll
Okay.
that quick within one game because of. Now, if they beat De La Salle. 2 games. Two. Yeah. Wait. Sarah and Reardon. Yeah. So I just think it's a little bit of a dramatic jump, Now, let's say SA beat De La Salle and you made that jump. That would make sense
Okay.
because that's a big, big win, right? That's the only thing I have to say. Otherwise, I like the poll a lot. I think it's realistic.
Okay.
Who were we talking about last week on the? I'm always curious about your bubble teams. That's who I always go to look
Well,
at. Before we talk about that, I'll let
okay.
Robert chime in on the poll. But
Yeah, I was going to say the top 10 poll is tough.
It's a
Because
hard job. I
Because
say
you do
that
have
every
all
week.
these bubble teams.
Yes.
And like I said, I shot Doherty Valley this week. They're undefeated. They haven't beaten anybody of this caliber. And looking at the list, could they beat anybody of this caliber? I don't know.
You mean Christopher, Robert?
What did I say?
You said Doherty Valley.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, not Doherty Valley. Sorry.
Well, we did shoot them last week. I don't think they won last week. though.
No. Christopher, the game that I shot last week, they're probably 13th or something in the Bay Area?
They're in the
Something
pool.
like that?
Well, no, not in the pool. They're in the bubble.
The
Yeah.
bubble.
I think they're in the bubble.
As an undefeated team, and they played some good games, but I don't know that they could beat anybody on this list.
That'd be a tough list, yeah. And then something else I was going to mention too, Los Gatos, right, at 8. I talked to Coach Crail before the game, and he talked about going into that game to Pittsburgh. He says, this was a great test for us. They come into the game undefeated, and they want those matchups to see what they got. And the fact that they battle and all that, and then they go on to have another tough matchup against Menlo Atherton. He says they intentionally schedule hard. They want those matchups to see what they got and what they have in a team. So,
Yeah, and that'll do well for them in the playoffs as they continue to
absolutely.
play good
Yeah.
teams.
There you go.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sarah is still in the bubble. I know they're like 2 and 3, but
Would you say
again,
they're 11? They're 11, 12?
they're probably number 12.
12?
Right, again, I wasn't convinced with their win last week.
And you're
against
tough
second
on those
hardest team.
Padres,
I'm
man.
sorry,
You are
man,
tough
but
on them.
listen, they have been our number 1 team for the past 2-3 seasons.
Sure.
Right, I hold them to a very high standard.
And as you
Right.
should,
Now I do.
but you're saying 29-12 is not a convincing enough of a win.
because they should have killed Sacred Heart Cathedral. No disrespect to the Fighting Irish, but
Sarah beats a good team, they're back in the pool.
well, if they beat St. Francis, yeah, I think they're back in the pool.
Better hold Adrian to that.
Well, hey, I think if they beat St. Francis, they are back in the pool. Absolutely. But they got to beat St. Francis. Can they do it? I'm not going to make a prediction because I got my prediction wrong again last week. I think I said Reardon was going to win. So I'm not making any predictions.
You didn't try and trip somebody at the game with an SI running by so
No.
that you could get your prediction right? You didn't do that?
No. You know, Robert, I'm too nice. I'm too nice.
Just ask you. You'll
Just ask.
Well, before we
and
go.
also humble.
well, you know-
Humble?
Humble.
You throwing that one in there?
He's also humble.
Yeah. All right, sure. We're going with that
And
one.
humble.
well, okay, very quickly before we go.
Do we have to go?
Well, yeah, very soon, We
Okay.
gotta very soon.
Very
but
quickly.
very quickly, the Max Preps computer rankings for the NCS. So now we're kind of in the middle of the season now. So now we got to start paying
Is
attention
Max
to this.
Preps a sponsor of this podcast?
They are not a sponsor.
Why are we doing their
unfortunately.
damn poll?
But
We got to
because
see. We got to
well,
compare and contrast
Yeah,
here.
so this is for the NCS playoffs. So they use Max Preps computer rankings.
Yes.
Do you know
That's-
Steve Montoya?
No.
He's my buddy at Max Preps. They're good guys.
So you should talk
Is
to
he
Mr.
really?
Montoya about a sponsorship of the podcast.
That's right.
Maybe you should talk to him.
Steve, if you're watching,
Okay, well, here it is. Top 8. De La Salle number 1, Pitt number 2, SRV number 3, Cardinal Newman number 4, El Cerrito number 5, Marin Catholic 6, Cal 7, San Marin 8, and in the bubble, Liberty, Clayton Valley, Windsor, Amador Valley, Casa Grande, Bishop O'Dowd, and Monte Vista.
yeah.
It's a large bubble.
That's before the SI.
Well,
win-
this is
win
just
over
this is just
Reardon, right?
NCS.
Right,
for,
just
like,
NCS.
playoffs.
They love to hold Cardinal Newman really high.
They're a good
really
team.
High. They're a good team. I mean, to hold those guys so high, I mean, especially over El Cerrito, I think El Cerrito should be a higher ranking team. I think.
I kind of agree. Cardinal Newman should be higher, man.
Really?
They're a good team, and they're in a good league.
And
El
say-
Cerrito, they're a good team.
And like saying,
league, not so much.
but then on the contrary, like San Marin at 8, I think that's crazy. So low.
yeah,
Over
well,
like you have Cal over them. And those are that's 7 and 8, right? Those are minuscule to be nitpicky. But
and it's
Oh,
gonna
it's
change.
compared-
Where's the Max
Yeah.
Preps CCS poll?
Though, so the CCS uses Cal Preps, so we don't have Cal Preps.
we covered that about 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
Where
well,
they,
they're actually back on. They're back on.
oh, it's back on. Oh,
So
just
thank
kidding.
goodness.
We
Thank
got
goodness.
pranked. All right,
You know.
great.
All right.
So
Very good.
yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's it.
We didn't get to go to London, but we got to sit here with each other for this 40 minutes and chat. So
And that's
that
got to
was
be
good.
so much better.
We got no
I value
Guinness.
your time
Can
over
we do a
that.
Guinness now?
On you?
Not that I'm promoting drinking alcohol.
No, of course not. No,
We
no.
would never do that.
No.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Well, I'm
Not an
pumped.
high school
Do you have your own little special sign off outro? Jake always has his. He goes,
a
"You've been
special
covered."
sign-off outro? I don't.
No, you don't have a Robert.
Hi,
signature?
Danny Root. That's my sign-off.
Well, if Jake's not here, I'll say it. You've been covered. Someone's got to say it.
You've been covered. All right. See you next week.